What happens when Hollywood's most unpredictable icon goes head-to-head with daytime TV's most outspoken host? You're about to witness one of the most unforgettable television moments in recent memory. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because this story is going to leave you stunned. The atmosphere inside the View studio was already charged before Jack Nicholson even made his entrance. The legendary actor, known for his fiery performances and equally fiery personality, had agreed to appear on the show to promote his latest project. But no one could have predicted how fast things would spiral out of control. Joy Behar sat at the iconic table, her familiar smirk barely hiding her anticipation as she flipped through her notes. She'd been waiting for this interview for weeks, a chance to show off her sharp interviewing style with one of Hollywood's greatest living legends. But there was something about her demeanor that hinted she had more than just promotion in mind. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only Jack Nicholson," announced Whoopi Goldberg as the crowd erupted in applause. Nicholson strolled onto the set with his signature swagger, flashing that famous grin as he waved to the audience. He was dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, his trademark sunglasses perched on his head. The energy in the room was electric as he took his seat beside the hosts. "Jack, thank you so much for joining us," said Whoopi warmly. "We're thrilled to have you here." "The pleasure's all mine, ladies," Nicholson replied, his gravelly voice instantly recognizable. "Though I've got to say, this is quite the intimidating panel." The audience laughed, and for a moment everything felt lighthearted. Sarah Haynes and Alyssa Farah Griffin smiled genuinely, clearly starstruck by the Hollywood legend sitting before them. But Joy's expression didn't soften, her eyes narrowed slightly, studying Nicholson carefully. "So Jack," Joy began, leaning forward with an almost predatory curiosity, "let's talk about your new film. But before we get into that, I think our viewers would love to hear about some of your past comments regarding women in Hollywood." The energy in the studio shifted instantly. Nicholson's grin faltered ever so slightly, though his tone remained calm. "Well, Joy, I think context matters, don't you? What exactly are you referring to?" "Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about," Joy shot back, her tone sharp. "Your attitude toward your female co-stars over the years has been questionable, to say the least." Whoopi tried to step in. "Joy, maybe we should focus on Jack's current project." But Joy wasn't backing down. "No, I think this is important. Here's a man who's been in Hollywood for half a century, and there are plenty of stories about his behavior on set. Stories that simply wouldn't fly today." Nicholson's jaw tightened, but his composure held. "Stories, Joy, or gossip? Because there's a big difference, and any responsible journalist should know that." "Are you questioning my integrity?" Joy snapped, her voice rising enough to make the audience shift uneasily. "I'm questioning your intentions," Nicholson replied coolly. "You invited me here to discuss my work, but it seems like you're more interested in cross-examining me." The tension was unmistakable now. Sarah looked visibly uncomfortable, while Alyssa sat frozen, unsure what to do. "My intentions are clear," Joy fired back. "I'm holding you accountable for decades of behavior that people have been too afraid to address." Nicholson leaned back in his chair, his legendary intensity beginning to surface. "Accountable according to whom, Joy? You. When did you become Hollywood's moral compass?" "Since I decided to stop letting men like you get away with everything because of your charm and reputation," she retorted. The audience went silent. Even the camera operators seemed glued to the unfolding confrontation. "Men like me?" Nicholson's tone dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You don't know a thing about me. You're sitting there throwing around accusations based on rumors and gossip, and you dare to call that journalism." Joy's face flushed red. "I call it asking the hard questions, something most people in this industry are too afraid to do." "Hard questions?" Nicholson let out a humorless laugh. You haven't asked me a single thing about my craft, my process, or the film I came here to promote. You've spent this entire time attacking my character based on hearsay." Whoopi tried again to calm the storm. "All right, let's all take a breath." But Joy cut her off. "No, I'm not done. Jack's had a free pass for far too long. His reputation for arrogance and mistreating women is well documented." Nicholson's eyes darkened. "Documented where exactly? The National Enquirer. Show me one credible source, one verified incident, one actual person who's come forward with a real complaint." "I don't need to prove anything to you," Joy hissed. "The whispers speak for themselves." "Whispers?" Nicholson's voice rose, echoing across the silent studio. "You're condemning me based on whispers. Whatever happened to evidence, to fairness, to journalistic standards?" The other hosts looked genuinely alarmed now. This wasn't just a heated exchange. It was something far more explosive. "Don't lecture me about standards," Joy shot back. "Coming from a man who's made a career out of playing lunatics and seems to carry that same energy off-screen." That was the breaking point. Nicholson's composure snapped. He pushed back his chair, the sharp screech slicing through the silence. His face transformed, the charming legend gone, replaced by something far more dangerous. The audience gasped as he rose to his feet, towering over the panel. His voice thundered through the studio with raw fury. "You want to see a psychopath, Joy?" he roared, his iconic tone dripping with rage. "You just crossed a line you can't uncross," Nicholson growled, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "How dare you sit there and tear down my character on national television, based on absolutely nothing?" Joy, visibly rattled but unwilling to show weakness, shot back. "Sit down, Jack. You're proving my point right now." "My point?" Nicholson laughed, but there was nothing friendly in it. It was the kind of laugh that could freeze a room. "Your point is character assassination dressed up as journalism. You're a hack, Joy, and everyone in this studio knows it, even if you don't." A wave of uneasy murmurs rippled through the audience. The security guards at the edge of the set stiffened, unsure if they should step in. Whoopi gestured frantically toward the producers off camera while Sarah and Alyssa sat frozen, eyes wide with disbelief. "I'm a hack," Joy's voice cracked slightly, though she tried to hold her ground. "At least I'm not a washed-up actor clinging to past glory while intimidating everyone around him." Nicholson slammed his palm on the table so hard that the mugs rattled. "A has-been," he barked. "Lady, I've forgotten more about acting than you'll ever know about anything. And as for terrorizing people, the only one doing that here is you, ambushing a guest with baseless trash." "Those aren't baseless claims," Joy snapped, her tone rising. "Let's talk about your temper, your treatment of women, your impossible on-set demands. Ask anyone. Or maybe ask the tabloids you get your facts from," Nicholson shot back, leaning forward menacingly. "You know what your real problem is, Joy. You've spent so long dissecting other people's lives, you've forgotten what integrity even looks like." The insult landed hard. Joy's face went pale, then flushed scarlet. "How dare you question my integrity? I've been in this business longer than you think, and I've earned my seat at this table." "Earned your place," Nicholson sneered, "by ambushing guests, by spreading gossip, by turning interviews into witch trials. If that's what earns you a seat, then that seat isn't worth having." "Jack, Joy, we need to calm this down right now," Whoopi pleaded, trying to diffuse the chaos. But Joy was far beyond reason. Her professional mask was gone. "Don't tell me to calm down, Whoopi. This man has been getting away with this behavior for decades, and someone needs to call him out." "My behavior?" Nicholson's voice rose, shaking the air itself. "What behavior, Joy? Show me one witness, one police report, one lawsuit, one shred of actual evidence. You can't because you don't have any." "I don't need evidence," Joy shouted, standing halfway out of her chair. "I have sources, I have stories, I have decades of whispers and rumors that all point to the same truth." Whispers and rumors. Nicholson threw his hands up, his face twisting in disbelief. That's your idea of journalism. You're not a reporter, you're a gossip monger with a microphone, and that makes you dangerous. The audience had gone completely silent. Everyone knew they were witnessing television history, just not the kind anyone wanted. Cameras kept rolling, every second of the chaos being immortalized on tape. I'm dangerous. Joy's voice hit a pitch that made several people wince. You're the one yelling and trying to intimidate everyone. You're proving everything I said about you. I'm proving I'm human, Nicholson shot back. When someone attacks your reputation with lies and gossip, you defend yourself. That's not psychotic, that's normal. Normal? Joy laughed bitterly. There's nothing normal about this outburst. A normal person would address the criticism calmly. Criticism? Nicholson's eyes widened in disbelief. These aren't criticisms, they're accusations. And they're coming from someone who clearly never planned to have a fair conversation in the first place. Sarah finally found her voice. Maybe we should take a commercial break. No, Joy snapped, her gaze still locked on Nicholson. We're finishing this. Jack, your reaction tells me everything I need to know about who you really are. Nicholson leaned forward until his face was just inches from hers. His voice dropped low, dangerous, controlled. You want to know who I really am? I'm someone who's spent his entire life perfecting his craft. Someone who's treated every co-star with respect until proven otherwise. And I don't take kindly to being ambushed by a second-rate talk show host with delusions of grandeur. Second-rate, Joy practically screamed. I've been on television longer than most people have been alive. I've interviewed presidents, world leaders, and Hollywood's elite. And apparently learned nothing about decency, Nicholson cut in sharply. A real journalist would have done her research, come with specifics, given me a fair chance to respond. Instead, you came here to stir up drama. I gave you plenty of chances, Joy fired back. You could have answered honestly instead of lashing out. Lashing out, Nicholson barked a bitter laugh. When someone accuses you of decades of misconduct in front of millions of viewers with zero evidence, getting defensive is the least you should expect. What you're seeing is outrage, the honest kind, from a man sick of being judged by people who know nothing about him. The studio felt like it was about to explode. Producers hovered off camera, debating whether to cut the feed. Security guards remained tense, ready for anything. The other hosts looked like they wanted to vanish. But Joy wasn't done. Her voice trembled with fury as she delivered what she thought was her final strike. You know what, Jack, she said coldly. You're a relic from a bygone era, an era where men like you could get away with anything because of who you were. Well, she leaned forward, eyes blazing, those days are over. Nicholson's face went pale, then flushed crimson. For a brief moment, the entire studio seemed to stop breathing, waiting to see how he'd respond to what was clearly the most personal attack yet. A relic, he said quietly, too quietly. His voice was calm now, but it carried a razor's edge. You want to talk about relics, Joy? Let's talk about washed-up talk show hosts who think they're investigative journalists. Let's talk about people who have made their entire careers tearing others down because they can't build anything themselves. At least I'm not living in denial about who I am, Joy shot back, her voice trembling with anger. At least I'm not pretending to be some kind of Hollywood saint while hiding a past full of bad behavior. America's sweetheart, Nicholson laughed, the sound sharp and humorless. Lady, I've never pretended to be anything I'm not. I'm an actor, one who's dedicated his entire life to his craft. I've never hidden behind fake personas or cheap moral crusades to get attention. Whoopi tried one last time to step in. Okay, that's enough. We need to. No, Whoopi, Nicholson interrupted, eyes locked on Joy. She wants to play this game. Let's finish it. You want to know what's really problematic, Joy? It's using your platform to spread unverified gossip. It's tearing down someone's character on national television with no proof. That's what's problematic. Joy stood up, refusing to back down. What's problematic, she fired back, is 50 years of Hollywood protecting men like you while silencing the women who try to speak out. Voices that try to speak out. Nicholson's tone rose again, his fury returning. Show me these voices, Joy. Give me names, dates, specific incidents. Put up or shut up, because I'm done listening to vague insinuations and cheap shots. I don't owe you anything, Joy screamed. The burden of proof isn't on me. It's on you to prove you're not who everyone says you are. The studio gasped. Audience members covered their mouths. The co-host sat frozen, horrified, while crew members hesitated, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let history unfold. Everyone says, Nicholson boomed. Who is everyone, Joy? Your gossip sources, your tabloid contacts. Because I can give you names, directors I've worked with, actors I've supported, crew I've mentored, people who actually know me. They tell you a very different story. Those people are protecting you because of your power, Joy hissed. Or maybe, Nicholson countered, his voice dripping with disdain, they're telling the truth and you're the one who's wrong. Maybe you've been so consumed with chasing headlines, you've forgotten how to tell fact from fiction. Joy's face twisted in fury. Don't lecture me about facts when your entire career has been built on manipulation and intimidation. My career, Nicholson said slowly, his voice low and deliberate, was built on talent, discipline, and professionalism. 3 things you clearly know nothing about, judging by this embarrassing display. The words hit like a slap. Joy's composure cracked completely. How dare you question my professionalism? I've been doing this job since before you were even relevant. Before I was relevant, Nicholson laughed, a dark, mocking laugh. Lady, I've been relevant longer than you've been alive, and I'll still be relevant long after people forget you ever existed. That's enough, Whoopi finally shouted, slamming her hand on the table. This stops right now. But it was too late. The moment had already spiraled beyond control. You want to know what's enough? Joy's voice was hoarse now, shaking with rage. What's enough is men like you thinking you can bully, intimidate, and silence anyone who dares to question you. Intimidate and silence, Nicholson shot back, incredulous. You're the one who came out swinging the second I sat down. You turned what should have been a conversation into an ambush, and now you want to play the victim. I'm not playing anything, Joy screamed. I'm exposing the truth about who you really are beneath all that Hollywood charm. The truth, Nicholson leaned forward, his tone icy and final. The truth is that you're a bitter, washed-up hack, so desperate for relevance that you'll destroy anyone's reputation to get a headline. The truth is that you've embarrassed yourself, your co-hosts, your network, and your entire profession here today. Joy's mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time since the argument began, she was speechless. Nicholson straightened his jacket, exhaled, and looked directly into the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, he said coolly, this is what passes for journalism these days, character assassination dressed up as integrity. Rumor, gossip, and self-righteousness masquerading as truth. He turned back to Joy, his tone calm but laced with contempt. You should be ashamed of yourself. You had the chance to conduct a professional interview to talk about art, legacy, storytelling, but instead you turned it into a witch hunt. And that says everything about you, Joy, and nothing about me. With that, Nicholson unhooked his microphone, placed it neatly on the table, and walked off the set without another word. The studio sat in stunned silence as his footsteps echoed away. Joy collapsed back into her chair, her face pale, her hands trembling. The other hosts exchanged horrified glances. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Finally, Whoopi broke the silence. We'll be right back after this commercial break, she said softly. As the cameras cut, the full weight of what had just happened began to settle over the room. Joy Behar had set out to take down one of Hollywood's greatest legends, but instead, she destroyed her own credibility. What was meant to be a bold confrontation had become a masterclass in how ambush journalism backfires. Instead of exposing Jack Nicholson, she had exposed herself, her bias, her anger, and her unprofessionalism in front of millions. The explosive clash would be talked about for years, but not the way Joy imagined. Instead of being remembered as the host who held Jack Nicholson accountable, she would be remembered as the one who lost control live, on air, while the king of Hollywood walked away calm, collected, and victorious. And that's the story of the day Jack Nicholson erupted on The View. What do you think? Was Joy Behar out of line with her approach, or was she justified in pressing Nicholson on those issues? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.